Connie Johnson was born on the 11th of December 1941. In the late 1980s, Connie, who taught high school in Iowa, began working summers in the Clearwater National Forest and the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness. Connie loved the outdoors and loved nature, so this was the perfect role for her. By the early 1990s, Connie decided to move to Idaho to devote herself fully to working in the wilderness, eventually becoming a wilderness ranger at Moose Creek Ranger Station. By this point, she had a wealth of knowledge, something she wanted to pass on to others. She soon found a way to combine her passions for teaching and the wilderness by bringing high school students from Iowa to Idaho to learn hands-on wilderness survival skills. The programs and workshops which teach various techniques such as how to handle a crosscut saw and how to make meals in the wild, things she brought forward, live on to this day. She also helped to establish the annual History Day at the Loxer Historical Ranger Station and was a member of the Selway Bitterroot Foundation. Connie firmly believed in the power and necessity of wilderness education. Her passion was undeniable, especially for helping young people, and many of her former students now work in conservation as teachers and as wilderness defenders. Those who knew Connie would describe her as extremely intelligent and knowledgeable, and someone who had a passion for helping others. Teaching and educating was something she had done her whole life. By 2018, Connie had almost 30 years' experience giving tours in the backcountry and could now be described as an experienced outdoors person. With so much experience, her friends said she had all the necessary skills needed to survive, even if something went wrong. And unfortunately, something would go wrong. In the fall of 2018, Connie, now 76, was working as a cook for Richie Outfitters, a group which organises hunting trips in the Montana and Idaho wilderness. Connie was based around Big Fog Mountain near Big Rock, Idaho, roughly 14 miles from the town of Powell. The area was very remote, with no roads and only accessible by horse or on foot. On the 2nd of October, a group of hunters arrived to tour the Idaho backcountry. When the group headed out on their hunting trip, they bid farewell to Connie and her dog Ace, who was usually by her side, and told her they'd be back in 3 days. There was nothing unusual to be noted at that point. The first strange occurrence was the next day, October the 3rd. The hunters had radio contact with Connie, but all they could hear was static. The transmission was so weak they couldn't hear what Connie was saying. This would be the last presumed communication with her. Connie was not heard from again. When the hunters returned to the campsite on October the 5th, Connie and her border collie dog were both gone. She had left behind her jacket on a table. Lying on top was her gun. A large search with searchers on foot and tracking canines was quickly deployed. It involved aircrafts deploying heat technology from the US Air Force, the Idaho National Guard, and the Clearwater County Backcountry Helicopter Rescue Team. However, no trace of Connie was found, and the search ended on October the 16th. Those closest to Connie and those that knew her were left wondering what happened in those 3 days. Connie was no novice. She had good experience in the outdoors and was well equipped for survival, but something had gone wrong. Did she fall ill or have an accident? Did something else happen that day? But she wouldn't be the only person to disappear from the area in questionable circumstances. By coincidence, Terence Woods, 27, was reported missing in mysterious circumstances at around 5:30 p.m. on the same day in the Oro Grande area of Idaho. He was a production assistant from Maryland, helping film a documentary. At some point he ran off into the woods for some unknown reason and has never been found. 3 weeks after her disappearance, her border collie Ace was found wandering alone at the Moose Creek Ranger Station, about 15 miles from the campsite Johnson disappeared from. Although underway, the dog was in good health. Ace was later taken back out in the hope he would lead searchers back to Connie. Unfortunately, he did not. Although it's not clear what happened that day, her family are certain her disappearance was not intentional, especially given the fact she was no longer with her dog. As of 2025, Connie Johnson remains missing and her case unsolved.